Hello, and welcome to Aldente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
The E stands for evil.
And I'm the gamer in yellow.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy and most pasta, and be critically silly doing it. And tonight we have, for the start of TennoVember,
Yeah.
Naberus.
Warframe.
Yeah, Warframe! Sorry, Mikey. So I guess this is a little unconventional for as some of our episodes tend to be, because we're not really talking about a creepypasta right now. But
we are.
It's a creepy folktale within a video game. That is part of the niche Vember kind of thing that we're doing this year. So, as Naberus, as the Naberus event in Warframe comes to an end, this episode will be posted. So, we're going to talk about the Knights of Naberus, just like why we're talking about it is because it's like we said, it's a creepy, spooky folk tale that they put in the game, and it kind of comes off as a creepypasta. So, also being gamer, really like Warframe,
Yeah,
and Deimos, like Heart of Deimos, my favorite fucking thing in the game.
It is pretty sweet. The short form would be basically it's just Warframe's equivalent of Halloween.
Yeah, it's basically it's every game does every MMO does this. Like they have like a Halloween event or a Christmas event. Like Warframe has TennoVember, I think is next month.
Yeah,
which is like a Christmas sort of celebration.
I actually don't think they have any lore behind that. At least not that I've read up.
Interesting.
Might have to do that.
Yes.
Anyways,
yeah,
it's probably not creepy,
since,
so it's not going to be on the show.
Yeah. I mean, maybe. I did like somebody did the nightmare before the what was it? The nightmare before TennoVember.
Yes.
Somebody made like a poster for Naberus. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, we should dive into what Naberus is and stuff like that, and maybe also as a little bit about Deimos. But first, Naberus. So, it's a Halloween event in game. You go to Deimos, the moon of Mars, that has been horribly infested with like biomatter and like alien shit. And there's a family there called the Entrati, and their grandmother. They're rather eccentric, like human alien creatures or beings, who are trying to keep the infestation on Deimos under control and such.
They're also half infested themselves.
Yes, exactly, and they're like kind of a horror wholesome family. Like I could talk about like the Entrati are like basically the Addams family.
Yeah, basically. But if all the Addams family were like infestedly planted into the ground,
yes,
and, like connected through like I'm assuming like a root system.
Yeah, like the creepy like flesh root system.
Yeah, of the environment, which is also all flesh.
Fucking love it. I love it. Yeah. Like I have had two moments in MMOs and large scale video games like this where I have done I'm home. The first one was in Secret World Legends when I first jumped into like the New England area, and it's like zombies, Lovecraftian horrors, New England horror like Stephen King and Lovecraft and all that kind of jazz, and Norse like monsters, and I'm just like, I'm home.
Yes.
And I had the exact same reaction when I landed in the heart of Deimos on the Cambion Drift, and I'm just like this horrible like fleshscape of like alien biomatter and like a creepy but charming little like weird family that you can like basically get rep enough to like basically become part of the family, like in terms of rep and such. Just like the eerie atmosphere of that world, and the score that reminds me vaguely of the Predator movies, like the original Predator movie scores.
Yeah.
And I'm just like exact same reaction as I walk as I fly around Deimos. I'm just like, this could just be the whole game, like just on this world.
Yeah, pretty much.
And they just made it better when they did the Knights of Naberus event for Halloween for October, which is we'll dive into it. So you go to Damien, you go to Deimos, and you talk to grandmother, and she tells you this, or you get like a mobile, like a creepy mobile of these like horribly like mangled human beings. And by using this mobile in game, it kind of cuts to a cutscene, I believe, of Granny telling you the story of these Orokin and this tale of Naberus. So long ago in the Orokin days, which is like the ancient days of like the high tech and high advanced civilization with the immortal rulers and the who ruled over the regular humans and shit. The Orokin, in their arrogance, they made a holiday to spit at death because they could. They basically were immortal because they used this kuva resource that allowed them to transfer their minds to fresher and less like decayed or rotten bodies. So sort of like a transhumanity sort of thing going on. They're just like, oh, my old body's kind of like wearing out. Better switch to a new one. So yeah, they kind of spit at death and disease and whatnot. So they're just like, well, fuck it. Let's just make a holiday about that and just celebrate like and make a mockery of death in this holiday. So that's kind of how Naberus got started. And like, again, like it was a time of dressing up in macabre outfits and masks and costumes and such. And these three Orokin were having none of it. They were completely like they were the decadent of the decadent of the Orokin. They were like, oh, costumes, that's that's for children. We got to do something like really out there to as a prank to like really shock people. So they went off and snatched up 3 Ostrons, which are the human servitors of the Orokin at the time. And they proceeded to like twist and meld and blend them and like strip flesh from them and like insert glass shards into them and make them horrible, horrendous mockeries of human shapes. Like, and then they used the blue kuva, which was would allow them to temporarily switch their minds or transfer their minds into these bodies, so that they would use these horribly like mangled and manipulated bodies that they had taken from these poor people out on the streets of the Orokin civilization and wear them like a costume. And then they'd go off into the streets, gleefully scaring the shit out of everyone. And like thinking that, oh, this is like the best prank ever. Like, this will bring our names into the history books for of the court for such a prank that we've pulled here. And so yeah, they go off in these mangled bodies and such. And little did they know that there was an Ostron girl hiding in their chambers, watching all this, and apparently knew the ways of the Orokin. And she went in and slipped into a spot or into an alcove that she was not supposed to be in, grabbed the red kuva, which would permanently keep their minds transferred into these new bodies, and forced it down the throats of the old Orokin bodies so that they could not switch back. And so the night went on, and then she left. She like gleefully like left and skated off, never to be seen again. So then the whole night, like people were screaming and like freaking out over these bodies. And then when dawn came and the 3 Orokin returned to their home, they were the ones screaming because they could never leave these horrid, wretched, manipulated bodies that they had created for themselves. Sort of a tale of hubris for the Orokin. So that's basically the story. Is it's sort of like it leaves off with like, listen carefully, Tenno, and beware if you hear like a raspy whispering or the scuttle-buttle or like the sniffing and clacking. That's probably these poor Orokin still out there roaming the night. And then it ends with Happy Naberus. So, yeah, that's basically the tale. It's in game. You can also go to the Warframe fandom wiki, where it has like the whole details of Naberus, the event, and also the folktale is all transcripted there. So you can either check out the videos on YouTube or like go in game because again, it's a free to play game. Why aren't you playing Warframe?
Yep.
I say as like somebody who like hated Warframe for like the longest time.
It's fine. You came around.
Like man, I've been editing some episodes for One Less Die. Plug for our sister podcast. And I was editing an episode of one of our Star Wars games from like 2017 or something like that, or like 2016, and I was like adamantly against Warframe then.
Yeah, because like we would show up and we'd be talking about it, and you're not in on it, so it bugs you.
Yeah.
Now you're in on it, so it's fine now.
Exactly. So yeah, that's basically the whole thing with Knights of Naberus, at least the tale that is told at Naberus.
Also, I want to clarify. It
Yes.
doesn't say specifically that the little girl is an Ostron.
Oh, it doesn't not?
No, it just says little girl.
Okay,
So
sorry, I
it
apologize.
could
So
straight
it
up
could just
be another Orkin that's being an even more of a prankster.
Well, because it's weird, yeah, because it says that like she had no, she should not, she was not supposed to know about the little ivory door where the red Kuva was, or else she'd be glassed for even looking at it. So but yeah, it does not say that she's a little Ostron girl. Okay, that's odd. I do have a theory actually about who she is, but like we'll get into that in actual thoughts and such.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's no real. Again, this is not a conventional episode of Al Dente Rigor Mortis because we don't have a grammar inquisition, unless you guys have some kind of grammar inquisition.
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. Does Mikey?
I have one, although it's not really a grammar inquisition per se.
Okay.
It's more of a language inquisition.
Fair.
Yeah, I think 2 of my 3 are language-related things, and one is sort of grammar.
Oh, in that case, I apologize. Then I guess we'll go on to everyone tolerates the grammar inquisition at this point. Okay.
Love the energy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, this actually is something that, in regards to last week, when Review Cultist told us we were doing Knights of Naberus. Not knowing what it was at that point, I thought it was Knights with a K.
Oh no. Yeah.
Is that actually a thing?
No.
Okay.
Although that could be like, again, like brainstorming like creepypasta stuff. I kind of want that to be a thing now. Is like the Knights of Naberus, like some kind of like creepy haunted like knightdom.
Yep.
That go across the origin system on Naberus. Sorry, continue, Mikey.
Yeah, so that's really my grammar language inquisition was that.
Is I was wrong, and you're calling me out on my bullshit.
I mean, you sent him an email with a link.
I did send an email out after we talked about it. Yeah. Also, full disclosure.
Before that, yeah.
Gamer and I are huge fans of Warframe. Poor Mikey here has to sit through an entire month of Warframe, not having ever played the game.
It's fine. Because I'm assuming it's fine. Like, what's the difference? Either you read a creepypasta that is in a world that you may or may not fully understand, or you listen to a Warframe creepypasta that is in a world that you may or may not understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's really like you're getting the regular Al Dente Rigor Mortis experience in that you're just it's kind of the like, oh, what story am I reading today or listening to today?
Yeah.
And talking about. Yeah.
Did you find 4 for this month, or I thought you
So
had
I
2?
found. Oh, again, we're doing Knights of Naberus, and folks, I found 2 other ones that we're going to go with.
Mm-hmm.
And I've put some calls out on Twitter, like, if you know some creepypastas involving Warframe, let us know. But if I don't find one, we're gonna have to do another talkie episode like this one, kind of, where we talk about how to make creepypastas. Because, like, damn it, if we can't, like, there's a surprisingly lacking amount of creepypastas that have stemmed from this fandom, and I'm kind of disappointed.
Yeah, really.
So, yeah, that's the threat tonight. Today is if we don't get a third creepypasta involving Warframe, we're just going to talk about how we'd make creepypastas in Warframe on the fourth week. of November. So
There's other things we can do, but we'll figure it out. Either way, we're here where we are now. So
yes, back to Naberus.
yes, is it my turn?
Yes.
I believe so. Yes.
Cool. All right. So, in a link off of the main page, it just says like Naberus, because the main page that you linked me to was Knights of Naberus. It brings you to like a near identical page, but it also has a written transcript of Grandmother's Naberus tale.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
Which is kind of weird. I don't know why there's two that are basically the same page.
I
But
think-
either way,
I think just as a clear, maybe the first one, like Knights of Naberus, is like the event page, like the page that's just about the event and stuff like that in game, versus Naberus, which is like everything about it.
I guess.
So it's just basically an exact copy plus a little bit extra.
Maybe or no, maybe.
I don't know.
Either way,
Yes.
but because there is a written transcript of it, there is a slight grammar-ish related thing I can talk about in regards to that transcript.
Okay.
Yes. Specifically, the way it's like spaced out and everything.
Okay.
Specifically, when it gets to the point where grandmother is quoting the different kids.
Oh
Because
yeah.
Because it says here, like, now on one very special Naberus, 3 pretty Orican were bored, as Orican often were. Naberus no longer holds its magic for me, sighed one. Masks and costumes are for children, grumbled another. Why follow the crowd, mused the third. Meanwhile, like, that's all in a sentence, like normal sentence structure. It's not.
Yeah, there's no quotes.
Are they quoted, actually?
No, they aren't. And it's all italics. The entire story is italics.
Oh, don't even get me started. But yeah, they're not quoted. But main thing I was bringing up is they're not like tabbed down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Like
Yeah.
entered down to have the quotes be on their own separate lines, like how normal stories do things.
Yeah. It is kind of odd because, like, yeah, it's paragraphed out. Like, the rest of the story is also paragraphed out. Like, I guess whenever she pauses and such during her tale. So
Yeah, that's fine. That makes sense. It's just I feel like because it's quotes, it should be kind of broken up a little bit.
at the same time, this is technically dialogue, since it's an oral story that's being told to us by grandmother.
Yeah.
The way Granny talks. Sorry.
You're not wrong, but also in the written format, it's just harder to read. That's
Yeah. For sure. I also stumbled upon it, but I just kind of brushed past it because it was dialogue. But
I mean, I'm nitpicking here. I'm in the nook.
oh
this
yeah,
time.
no, yeah. I holy shit! I'm out of the light. It burns.
Wow. Did not expect you to go there. That's fine. And
I got kicked out of the nook, so it's like it's all like it's much brighter than inside the nook.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. And yeah, my other two are just words I learned, which is sort of grammarish in a way. I don't know. Did you guys put learned words under actual thoughts, or
I didn't learn any new words, so.
Oh,
Or that,
so
that
I'm the idiot. Okay,
no.
here we go.
That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. Damn you! Stop throwing words into my mouth.
I'm not. It's fine. So either way, I learned a couple words. Or one isn't that I learned a word, but I learned a way to use a word. Basically, down into the streets they went, and they caught 3 poor Ostrons and bore them back to their gilded halls.
Yeah.
So bore, B-O-R-E, being used as like clearing a path through a crowd, I guess, is the closest definition I could find. That made sense.
Yep.
Unless they just brought out like a big drill and just like yeah.
Grind.
Yeah.
Sorry, wrong system. Wrong franchise.
Mhm.
Wrong War franchise.
Yeah. That's the Gears of War. That's
Yes.
the Frames of War.
Yeah.
The thing I immediately thought of when I was bringing up the whole drill thing is the South Park episode where they had to make like some zombie vehicle with a huge drill on it.
To get past the hippies that were in the
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that episode.
Yeah, the hippie digger.
Yeah,
That's
the
what it's
hippie
called.
digger. Yeah, they had to get to the center of the basically it's like one of those like deep core like drilling movies that they made. Yeah.
Yeah, they
Oh,
had to get
God.
to the middle of just like that event that they were having. I forget what it was called.
Yeah, it's
Basically
like a hippie
super
stock or something like
Woodstock
that.
situation.
Yeah, exactly. God.
Mhm.
But yeah, I assumed like it's an old Englishy word of saying like kind of like parting a crowd and getting through a crowd and
Yes.
such.
For sure. And the other one was chortled.
Yeah, it's a fun word.
It is. Fine costumes we've made. Chortled the Three Oregon, which is like laughing in a breathy, gleeful way, or like a chuckle.
So it's like, where is that? Fine costumes we've made. Like that's chortle to me. Anyways, like that. Like to me, it's like I imagine it again, like an old Englishy kind of word. So I'm imagining this like rather like big, like burly.
Yeah,
like
for
that
sure,
kind of like chortling to me. But.
Chortle also sounds like a name that like the Game Grumps would name a Link.
Also sounds like a Pokemon, like a new evolution for Squirtle. It's like Chortle, just like a giant like Chad version of like a buff version of Squirtle. It's the Fakeamon that you get when you mix Squirtle with Machamp. It's Chortle.
Chortle.
It's Machortle. It's just like a giant beefy body of a Machamp, but like the Squirtle's head.
Yeah.
I actually learned about Chortle playing a video game.
Ooh.
Oh.
It's in Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga on Game Boy Advance.
The hell is that?
Yeah, I don't think I've heard of that one.
Well, it's part of the RPG series that they did. So there's, you might know Bowser's Inside Story.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, that one's the third in the series.
Oh God! So it was like Bowser's Inside Story was the third one, or the what's the star one from?
The Superstar Saga is the first one.
Oh.
Then there's Partners in Time, which is the second one. Then Bowser's Inside Story is the third.
I must have completely like skipped over the first one then, because I remember the time one, and I remember Bowser's Inside Story, but that's about it. Interesting.
I never played the handhelds, so
that's
all over my head. The only RPG-esque Mario game I know of is Mario RPG.
Not Paper Mario?
Is that an RPG?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the sequel to RPG.
Yeah, I guess it is. That's fair. I never played that one, but I know of it. Either way, I feel like we're off topic here.
We have definitely fallen off the rails. Jack! Sorry. Yeah, anybody listening to this, if you're like Mikey and not a Warframe fan, I'm sorry. Like, we are going to be talking and gushing over Warframe for the next 4 weeks. Probably.
It's fine. If they need to hear the song, just type in Rusty Finn Railjack song.
Yes. It's on Bandcamp. Or on the YouTube channel if you want to check out that cool video he did with it. Anyway.
Yeah, Chortle.
Yeah, Chortle, yeah. My favorite Pokemon.
That's all I got for Grammar and Yellow.
Okay. All right, so then we move on to actual thoughts. So I've got a couple of comments, a couple of quotes and some comments, but like also a lot of comments, just in general. So, starting with this one here. Long ago in the Orican days, a golden people lived in spoiled luxury. If a body wore out, why, they would take the new one, or why they would take a new one as easily as plucking a maprico. Such was the mystery of the Kuva. So, this is sort of like something me and Gamer have talked about before and off recording, I believe, or even on recording. Whenever we've had a Warframe creepypasta, I really feel like Warframe would work really well as a setting for the Eclipse Phase system.
Yeah, 100%.
Like,
it's all about body swapping, right?
Yeah, transhuman horror future, where like the transhumanity isn't the horror; it's like all the other shit. Like it's transhumanism in that like you can your consciousness is software. You can fix yourself, you can edit yourself, you can switch bodies any which way you want. Death is effectively like a very rare occurrence. Like the only way to permanently kill yourself is to erase every known copy of your consciousness.
Wait, so you have multiple consciousness? If you're in a body and you get shot in the head, you're not dead?
No, so if you get the cool thing about Eclipse Phase is it's a horror game, but it's a horror game with respawns because so like if you're on a mission on like say the moon in like one of the secret tunnels and you're fighting an exurgent threat, which is like basically an ex-human like horror thing that mutates like flesh and technology and shit. And you get killed in that, like you or you get infected, you can just off yourself and have your teammates who have to survive this game or who have to survive that mission roll sand checks because they saw you die. But then when you get back or when they get back from the mission, they just reinstate you from your last save point, basically, which is usually before which is right before the mission.
Do you remember what happened during the
mission?
Nope.
Only if your friends transmit their memories of the event. Otherwise, it's as if you were getting like, all right, guys, we're going on the mission. Wait, you guys already went on the mission? What happened to me? And then you roll the sand check.
Imagine what would happen if every mission that your party goes out on, all of them die except for one person.
Yeah.
So they keep having to meet the same person over and over again.
Oh
hi, what's your name? Oh, fuck that again.
God damn it. Yeah, because they don't save. Because there's different. Like you can you get some choices of like when you save your consciousness. But yeah, there's usually like a consciousness bank or like a like sort of a data bank where like people go to get their minds like copied or like transmitted over, so that if they die, they can just reinstate themselves. There's a whole thing on like in the game on like forking yourself. So like basically like copying and pasting your consciousness. And there's like there's also 3 different levels of it. Like there's a beta fork, a data or a delta fork, and an alpha fork. Delta is basically like you strip down your consciousness to its basic, like not barely a personality, but it's just like kind of like a servitor sort of thing. Not unlike cephalopod or cephalons from Warframe. Like I'd say a cephalon is probably closer to a beta fork, which is like it's got some memories and some personality, but like surface level stuff, just enough to like so that it's not like a true sentient, like AI kind of thing. Because that's the other thing in Eclipse Phase is like AIs, like true AIs are scary as shit because that's what caused like a huge like cataclysm in the game, in the setting. So like there's like artificial, like there's like a bunch of artificial intelligences that aren't like true AI, and then like an alpha fork is like an exact copy of your consciousness. So and that can be a fickle thing because that's illegal in most parts of the system, and the reason why is because the governments and whatnot don't want you having like 2 or 3 people that are the same being. Like, because they all have the same like social insurance number, like they all have the same identity and some of that. So like, if one causes a crime, they're now hunting down like a couple more to find out which one did it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also like some plot threads you can have in that where like one of your alpha forks is trying to kill off all the other ones to like basically take over the identity. So like it kind of gets into that fickle line of like which one of you is the real one. Or like if
I'm a clone now.
Exactly, it's the clone situation, but with just your mind. So like you could be you can have a delta fork and like slip it into like an octomorph, which is like basically a cybernetically augmented octopus body.
Okay.
Again, the system also has like uplifts, whereas like there's a bunch of animals that have been like basically raised to human intelligence. So you got octomorphs, you got like bird morphs, like avian morphs. You got a bunch of other
like
stuff.
A full-on bird. It's not like a furry situation.
They've been given like an extra pair of arms. Like they've been given arms so that they can like grasp things a little bit more and stuff. Like they've been augmented. And there's even whales and dolphins and
do they have legs?
Yeah, well, they have robotic legs and stuff like that in some cases, but most of the time, those kind of morphs and those kind of uplifts live in like water biomes, like they live in oceanic biomes or even in space, because there's actually a whole like mining prospect thing that's near the sun. So there's literally space whales in augmented bodies that can resist like intense heat and radiation, just swimming through the corona of the sun.
That's weird.
Yeah, no, it's a really weird, fucked up like setting. It's really fucking cool. And then they've thrown in like a bunch of more horror stuff, like cosmic horror and stuff, because of a big cataclysm that happened. Again, it's not unlike Warframe. Like,
yeah, like the whole respawn mechanic and everything, that would work really well.
Yeah, it's basically like the Kuva to a degree.
Well, it's just, well, I mean, we're talking about Warframe. It's gonna be spoilers, but it's like how when you die, I guess. That's one. We're getting on a tangent here, but I don't give a shit. Tangent police can knock on my door all they want. So
Clem, they just brace it. It's Grenier.
Oh, fuck. But no. Like I don't know what truly would happen in the world of Warframe when your Warframe goes down. In the game, when your Warframe goes down, you can revive yourself in mission 4 or 5 times, depending on how you're set up. 4 times. So I don't know if that's just like in the lore. It has inside it. There's a like a resuscitator. Yeah.
I think and those
4 times.
I have the books for Eclipse Phase. I don't want to pull them out because they're fucking huge. But I'm pretty sure that's like a gear thing that you can buy for your. Yeah, that's the other thing about Eclipse Phase. Again, much like Warframe, it's transhumanity in terms of it's like the like in terms of the Tenno and the Warframes and stuff. But it's like your body is treated as gear. So like you can and you can upgrade your gear with like items and stuff like that. So you can there's like a resuscitator. There's actually there's actually a really expensive piece of gear that you can get called a Farcaster, or like an emergency Farcaster. So if you're about to die on mission, you can Farcast your mind out of your body to a body bank to get transmitted into a new body while you're on mission. But it's again, your teammates are having to roll sand checks because your head just explodes from the act of setting off the Farcaster.
Wow.
Because it sends like a massive like data pulse from your head.
So there are sand rolls in that system?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. So like stability, like it's not sanity. It's a little bit more progressive in terms of how sanity works. It's a little bit more like it's treated a little bit more nicely, or like a little bit more accurately to like that kind of stuff. So it's like stress and
it's more like combat stress, and not like I'm literally going insane.
Exactly, and there are things like in the game, but it's like it's treated a little bit more accurately than like the original Call of Cthulhu games and stuff did. Sure. It's a little bit more not I guess politically correct is kind of the term, but it's a little bit more elegant in some cases,
I suppose.
So, less offensive maybe is another word I'd use for it. So anyway, that's just sort of, and that's just, wow, this is from like my first like note here. It's just like Orkin are basically Eclipse Phase level like transhumanity people that were just like fucking with the flats. Flats being people who don't have cortical stacks in the back of their head and can't just easily download their minds.
So not Tenno.
Yeah, so Tenno I would feel would probably just be like a regular sort of would be like a regular morph kind of character. There isn't any like kind of energy to matter transference thing really in Eclipse Phase. It's sort of hard science fiction to a degree, just really far like future hard science. But again, there's always room for like doing things like switching things up and such. But the in the universe of Eclipse Phase, so there's like people with morphs and they have like cortical stacks, which are basically these like almost impossible to destroy, like near impossible to destroy, like data drives in the back of your like at the base of your skull that keeps your mind basically like updated and stuff.
And so if you the body that gets taken over has these?
Yes. And then there's like the flat morphs, where basically like people are a morph in that setting. So there's flats who don't have cortical stacks. They're just regular. They're us. They're regular humans with no augmentations whatsoever. So if they die unless they had a brain scan that like scanned their brain, and that's how you could like transfer your mind to like if you died. But most flat cultures don't do that
Mhm.
because they're like stuck in the past in terms of like
Yeah.
wanting to stay flat. So, yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Really
Enough
interesting system.
Oh yeah. I've been wanting to kind of like get into it and play in it, but it's like it's a bit of a front loaded system. Like, and the second edition just came out, and it's gotten much more streamlined. But yeah, we'll have to.
Lately, all we've been playing is front-loaded shit, like Shadowrun, yeah.
Yeah.
Mass Effect, yeah.
yeah.
Setting
yeah.
up characters for Mass Effect and Shadowrun are like doing your taxes, as I said.
That is true. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I guess it wouldn't be any different.
No.
It might be easier because it is by the guys who left Shadowrun after 4th ed to make their own system with blackjack and hookers.
Yeah.
Because they didn't like how Shadowrun was going. So
Well, one day
Monday,
we'll try it out, either in its own system or maybe in Warframe.
maybe.
Homebrew?
Yeah. But yeah, thanks for bringing us back to Warframe.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, that's my whole initial comment with the Orkin and stuff like that. Is just like, yeah, the Warframe could be easily transferred into Eclipse Phase rules and stuff like that. So
I do have a little bit of notes specifically on the quote that you brought up, so I guess I should chime in here as well.
Sure, go for it.
Basically, just saying like the Orkin themselves are kind of creepypasta material themselves.
Yeah,
because like even without the story here about anything that's horrific happening, they're blue-skinned, white-eyed humanoids with one arm that's like 50% longer than the normal arm for reasons. They're living in a golden age of technology, able to upload their mind to a new body because of a mysterious liquid they harvest. Like, it's kind of fucked up in itself, just them existing.
Yeah, they're an immortal, like, overlords, basically.
Yes.
Like,
I
they're
heard you
basically
starting to chime in there in regards to the arm. I believe
Yeah.
the reason that the one arm is bigger than the other is because if you're too perfect, you're not as beautiful or something like that.
Oh, so they
that.
believe in asymmetry, like asymmetrical.
Yeah, like there has
beauty.
to be a flaw of some kind.
So the entire and they're also sheeple apparently because every fucking Orchid has that long limbed like that one long limb. So
Yeah, I wonder if that's just they didn't think ahead when doing the game. Like they just started like when they're making all the new characters, they're just making them all okay. Their right arm's a little bit longer. And I mean, maybe they're not all meant to be like that, or just way back when they started doing it, it became so popular, and when new Orkin were being born or whatever, they were being born with it right away, so everyone eventually had it.
Yeah, I could definitely see it. Like originally starting off as like kind of a decadent thing where like a couple of them started doing it, and then it became a fad that kind of just became then eventually like a signifier of their race or culture.
Yeah. It's like, what else would you do? The other arm? You do a leg, and then it's really weird to walk.
Yeah, or like shrink down your legs so you're like kind of like just like it's like the rest of your proportions are normal except for your legs.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see that again. I could see like there being like, oh god, can you imagine? I would like to see if that is the case of like there was a trend in the Orkin culture in the early days where like it wasn't just the long arm; they had like other like kind of imperfections they did. Like I'd love to see like a trip back to that time period for a moment, like in a story. That could be some interesting like body horror sort of thing. I was actually also going to tie. This actually helps tie into my my next note, which was what you were saying earlier is like how the Orkin themselves are kind of like just kind of creepy in themselves, like even outside of the them going down to the streets and stuff like that and picking away people. Although that's what I'm about to go into. I kind of want to see like either a slasher flick game, which is slasher flick is a kind of RPG game where you can basically play as victims in a slasher flick and kind of deal with the monster, or like any kind of like horror game, or even like a creepypasta from the perspective of the Ostron, who are fleeing fleeing the clutches of these creepy long-armed immortal monsters that come down from on high to snatch them up. Like they're the and like I would love to see this tale like from the perspective of the Ostron culture, like maybe on Cetus on Earth. Like how do the Ostrons in Cetus tell this tale to their children? Like is it like, and then the creepy Orchid, the the creepy Orican came down and like hid in the shadows and snatched up three of our people, and like just maybe tell it from their perspective, like, because I imagine that would be a lot more of like a creepy invasive sort of tale. Maybe presenting the Orican as like the boogeyman sort of situation.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Like don't I was like happy Naberus, children, but don't stray too far from the end of the streets, for maybe Wispy hit Scuttlebuttle will snatch you up in an attempt to try and switch bodies with you, or the long limb of the Orican will come out of the shadows of the alleyway and snatch you up if you're not careful.
Mm-hmm.
Happy Naberus Day! As the child is traumatized. Yeah. Here, have some sugared maprico. Maprico is like a type of fruit in Warframe for the non-Warframe people who are listening, and Mikey. So yeah, that's the comment there. The next one is, so the description that we get of how the Ostron are like taken in and like mutilated, essentially. One, they peeled like a fruit and decked out with glassy splinters, and his naked jaw went chitter-chatter-snap, and it echoed all around. Scarlet footprints he left. Another's limbs they twisted, and wrenched his neck, and made a bundle of him, until he scuttled upsy-downsy like a horrid crab, with his sockets all empty, and his stretched-out nose snuffling. The third they pulled thin in hand and foot. She walked spindly-wise on long tiptoes like a spider, and her entrails hung delicately down. She whispered, split-tongued and hissing as she went. So I got a question about this. This might be a nitpick or a loophole. Like I'm trying to get to the nitpick nook right now.
No.
How are these Ostrons still alive, or are they when this is all happening?
I think they have to be alive, because when they swap bodies,
that's what I'm trying to think.
To have a functioning body.
Also, did they swap bodies, or did they just kind of invade their minds and like, or were the minds removed? Like, because like, why? Like, are the Ostron now in the slumbering Orican bodies?
It doesn't really say.
It doesn't at all. So that's
what I honestly assumed happened is when they grabbed them and basically dominated their bodies, they killed their actual minds. Their consciousness is dead.
That would be really interesting then, I think, if it's not simply that, like if it's like they take these people and like use their advanced Orican technology to like horribly like mutilate them the way they do. A story could be really interesting from the perspective of the captured Ostron. Like, yep. And like where, like if their consciousness is still there, like maybe when the Orican mind, like maybe they're still like the Orican are kind of like vying in their minds for like supremacy, and like since the Kuva that they originally took to temporarily transfer their minds, and now they're permanently stuck in there. Maybe it's like a battle of the mind. So like maybe sometimes it's the Ostron moving around in the body, and sometimes it's the Orican. Like so, there's sort of like a split personality situation,
or
a dual mind in there.
Or if they actually do swap bodies, but when they like what they might have done that it didn't elaborate on is like, because it said something about well, it's one of my notes here. Send for blue Kuva and hot lights. It doesn't specifically say what hot lights means, but that could be something in regards to something to immobilize their bodies. So when the body switch happens, the Ostrons can't control their body.
Maybe. Or maybe the hot lights is like how they eradicate the consciousness inside.
Maybe. But either way, if the consciousnesses do swap and the Ostron are in the Orican's bodies, even if the Orican bodies are put into like a coma during this or whatever, then when the little girl pours the red Kuva in their mouths, it locks the ability to swap back, and then she can wake up the quote-unquote Orican, which are now Ostrons in those new bodies.
Oh, God.
So they could still be alive,
they could still be out there somewhere. That would be really
It
fucking
could be
cool
like
if
moles in the Orcan like empire now.
yeah, that, or even like again, if this is like fast forward to like the modern in-game day, like maybe they are like they could maybe show up again as Orcan, and it's like yeah, like they've been like hunting down these these the Orcan that are in their old Ostron bodies, like sort of like hounding them, like trying to like get rid of them, maybe. Or maybe they're just in hiding somewhere in the origin system or somewhere else.
Or hell, all this shit could be planned. Like the little girl could be an Ostron sympathizer, and they figured out that the only way to actually get a like a proper mole in is to basically set it up so these kids like she whispers ideas to them. And then they're like, fuck it, let's do it. And then they do the body switch thing, and then she locks it. So then, okay, now the Ostron are in Orcan society.
Yeah, it feels like there's definitely much more of there's a scheme going on that we're not getting the full details about the scheme.
Yeah.
What was Lotus's original, like the person that Lotus imitated? Malgus? No, not Nataz. Nataz, the Margulis, yeah. What if one of the sympath, like one of these like Ostron stuck in an Orcan's body? What if that's Margulis the whole time?
I mean,
like,
you never know. It could be.
I'm like that would be interesting.
Why she wasn't a freaking asshole like the rest of the Orcan.
Yeah, basically. Hey, man. I mean, the Trotty are I mean, okay, they're weird. They're like they're wholesome and like they're wholesome and cute, but only because they're crazy or they've been driven mad by the infestation. So.
Yeah, I don't know how nice they were back in the day.
Yeah.
Like them being infested and messed with
actually made them better.
Them a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, yeah, for sure. I like that idea. Like, yeah, there's actually like some devious plan regarding the like the girl and stuff. Actually, I guess now might be a good time to just bring up my idea for like what the girl is and such like that. So yeah, like there's the line near in the story where it's like, but in a high room of the tower, the silent girl looked at the faces of the three sleeping Orcan. She went and opened a little ivory door that she was not supposed to know about, and drew forth a flask that she would have been glassed for even looking at. A flask of crimson kuva, the scarlet seal upon continuity, permanent. And she tipped it down 3 cruel throats. With a little laugh, she went skating away, never to return. So I had this idea, like who is this girl? And I have a little bit of a theory here. Because like part of me wants this girl to actually like come back or like show up in like later Naberus events or something like that. Like maybe like she's like again, I just like creepy girls that are just like popping up in like horror movies and like Halloween things, or just like ghost girls or something like that, or are a staple in Halloween events and such like that. But one idea that came to mind: what if this little girl, or this creepy, this like laughing little girl who skates away? What if it's the OG Yareli?
I mean, yeah.
Like, so for the audience at home and Mikey, Yareli is a Warframe that is basically like a little skater girl, effectively. Like sort of like it's kind of got the whole like magical girl kind of look, like kind of like aesthetic going. And she was like responsible for like the or like the inspiration for the vent kids on Venus, who is where in game you get like all the kids who like basically they have like hoverboards and stuff like that. So I just had me wondering, like, what, since like that is like a lot of the Warframes and stuff come from the ancient Orcan days. Like, what if this was like the original Yareli?
Does it actually say skated away? I'm trying to...
It does. It says, with a little laugh, she went skating away, never to return. And that's what threw me off, is like, skating away. Like...
It's possible.
Yeah. because Ureli, as well as on top of being like a little magical girl kind of Warframe, one of her like innate moves is that she has a her own like kind of weird tentacled hoverboard. So, and again, it's the inspiration for the Vent kids having hoverboards, which they use to like do sick skating tricks on rails and stuff like that. So, also, since I mentioned this in the comment here, like it says like that she'd be glassed for even looking at this flask and stuff like that. I looked up what glassed means, and looking that up, it links to the glass maker, a fucking serial killer in Warframe.
Yeah, you weren't playing around then. Yeah, there was an event where you actually did like a murder mystery.
Yeah.
To figure out what the hell was going on.
Yeah. And so glass, like the reason why it's called the glass maker, so glassing in the ancient Oregon days was a form of justice, I do in quotes, where they would take a person's mind and digitize them into a servitor AI of sorts called a cephalon, which is what I brought up earlier when we were talking about Eclipse Phase stuff. Like, seriously, why aren't there more creepypastas coming out of the Warframe fandom?
Yeah, there's a lot of fucked up shit.
There's
and
so
the act
much
of glassing, their body is physically like covered in like pointy glass, and they're basically a statue, but their mind is extracted from their body and
so
turned into an AI.
So it's like they're glass-based petrification, like a gorgon or a basilisk, kind of like petrifying them. Except instead of stone, a stone statue, they become a glass statue, and then their mind is digitized and basically shackled.
Yep, pretty
into
much.
servitude. Yeah.
And most of the time, their mind isn't 100% the way it used to be.
Yeah, they've been psychosurgery to, again, bring up Eclipse Phase, which is a thing you can do in game. Like if you suffered a horrible trauma, you can just have that part, those memories just like ripped out of your identity.
That's fine, yeah.
Yeah. Again, it becomes like sort of like it's good in some cases, but then people also abuse that. So like there's like whole things where like, yeah, you've been psychosurgery to like not to be okay with being enslaved by a corporation or what have you. So yeah, or you've had like memories implanted in your mind to you've been inceptioned is basically what psychosurgery is. Like you've been augmented. Your mind has been changed to fit a different narrative that you wouldn't normally have. That's the horror angle of psychosurgery. And yeah, cephalons tend to be like they're like they've been like sort of fragmented from their former identities, right?
Yeah, or like their old memories are completely suppressed to give them a new purpose, like Ortis.
Yeah.
He was originally a badass orc in like war general that just absolutely fucking killed everything.
And then he's been reduced to a whimsy little AI that helps the Tenno.
Yeah, he called himself the Beast of Bones.
Yeah, right. That was his name. Yeah.
Yeah, like he was. I don't remember specifically why he was glassed, but yeah, and now he's a twitchy. Sometimes just very plain and basic AI friend, and sometimes a guy that switches to like kill them all, like during half of his lines. Yeah, his old self kind of peeks in every once in a while.
Yeah, his the shackles are kind of weak a little bit or strained.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
or just like the intensity of his old persona, like they couldn't completely suppress it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, like that's again, like there's so much horror, like fruit in Warframe to pluck from.
Yep.
Like a Maprico. But I digress.
Many, though, unfortunately.
No. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of them out there. But I digress. I'll move on. So yeah, we're talking about the whole the Ostron. Oh yeah. So going back to what I was the whole like description of the creatures or of the Ostron costumes. It references in that the Scarlet Footsteps. Scarlet Footsteps were left, and in game when you go to like the daughter, who's one of the Entrati, she's dressed up like she's costumed up for Naberus, and she's got like bloody foot handprints all over her. And I think
glass shards that are like stuck onto her body, looking like they're pierced into her.
exactly, yeah. Like she's got like a crown of glass shards in her hair and such.
Mm.
Yeah, the idea, like all the, I think like the bloody hand and footprints, like the clicking and clacking and snapping and the harsh whispering nearby. Like if you're gonna have this as like either a game or like in a story, have those be like signifiers or hints that the Orican monsters are in the area. Like that's what they've left behind, or like that's like their kind of their call sign.
Yeah.
When they're roaming around, like it's like, all right, roll perception check. Oh, you hear like a horrible like clacking and snapping sound, like twigs being snapped, but like sickeningly. Or you see
wet.
yeah, exactly. You hear wet snapping sounds, or you see some fresh handprints on a corner of a wall, and it's like in some fresh red material. You're not sure if it's paint or it smells like iron, so it might be blood. Like that kind of thing, or just hear like a horrible whispering sound coming from down that alleyway. What do you do? And yeah, sort of in a continuation of the Orican version of the story that I brought up earlier. Like I would like to hear like an Orican version of the story, or sorry, an Ostron version of the story. Yeah, it doesn't really mention what happened to these wicked Orican. So yeah, maybe they are still out there. Like maybe they're on the dark side of Earth because we never see what happened to North America and South America in game.
Yeah, that's true.
Like like maybe there's something. And now again, in the setting from when I was doing a little bit of research the other night, Earth is a toxic planet, like to human life. Like even though it's got jungles and forests, like over consuming it and stuff like that. And like the reason why Cetus and the plains of Eidolon are there in game is because like it was the one location that, or one of the few locations on Earth that the Ostron could basically set down and settle. So it was like basically like a less toxic than the rest of the world. So maybe there are like patches of the world that are not toxic to human life, but the rest of it's kind of fucked up. But yeah, also apparently, according to the one image I saw, you can see Quebec, or no, you can see Labrador and Newfoundland, but they are completely coated in ice. And like even down to like Nova Scotia and New Brunswick area, like it's just like there's just snow covering the entire continent there. So maybe they're in some kind of like new glaciers or ice, or like there's a new ice age on that side. But yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah, there's a dark side of Earth. Like they never show North America or South America, or barely any of South America. It's all focused on Africa, Europe, or Africa and Eurasia in the game itself. So, but yeah, no, maybe these horribly mutated or like horribly mutilated Ostron that with Orican minds, those boogeymen are still out there somewhere in the origin system, just like stalking around. Maybe they're also, maybe they're in the void. So like when Naberus happens, like it weakens like a rift in the void, and that's what allows them to come back through. So like it only happens at Naberus.
Yeah, that's actually a cool way to do it in lore.
Yeah, because so for anybody who's not into Warframe, the void is this like other dimension of energy and reality and shit that like is very like cosmic horror stuff. Like the whole Chains of Harrow comes from it, I believe, as well. Where it's like there's a man on the man in the wall. Is that what it was?
Man in the wall.
Yeah, the man in the wall. Rap tap tap. Seriously, check out Warframe. It's really creepy and horror and awesome.
Hell, if you need another freaking creepypasta, we can talk about the entirety of the Chains of Harrow.
We could. Yeah, we could. There's a lot that we could talk about, like in a sitting. We could talk about the Chains of Harrow.
There's already a lot we are talking about.
I know.
We're not even talking about the story anymore.
I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. Okay, back to the game. Yeah. So, or back to the discussion at hand. So yeah, again, the Void Naberus like only happens like the Void Rift only opens up around Naberus. That's why. And that's where they're stuck, and then they're freed. So it's sort of like a curse, kind of told through the weird like magic science that is in Warframe. Like it's a curse, but it's actually like an anomaly in the void. And maybe if you're going to write a story of like maybe like Ostrons being attacked by or being stalked by these boogeymen, these three monsters, maybe there's a girl in the group of the Ostrons that they reminds them of the girl that did this to them. So maybe like that's why they're being targeted. So you could actually have that as part of the mystery. Is like, why are they targeting us? Like, why are they going after us? And then like at the end, it's revealed that they were after her because like they're after the silent one. Like they're after the one that reminds them of the girl that screwed them over way back when. And who knows? Maybe that girl in the group of Ostron is actually the girl from the story. Like maybe like she's got some weird like there's something weird about her, like allows her to live like long enough. Like maybe she's got like some kind of like Kuva thing going or something. I don't know. Again, make it all spooky and stuff like that. Make it all spooky and shit.
Yep.
And I think, hang on, what else do I have here? Oh yeah, they also like just regarding like the three creatures, Whispery, Hispery, Scuttlebuttle, and Chitter Chatter Snap, which is what Grandmother has affectionately nicknamed them all. I love that those are that we get those names because those sound like perfect names for boogeymen in the setting.
They're really fun sounding creepy names because it's also a description of how they sound.
Exactly. It fits very much well within the whole like folktale origin of this story. And I honestly think more games like need Warframe Warframe definitely needs more of it. Other games could definitely benefit from having folk tales in their story, like in their world building, in their games and stuff like that, like this. Also, again, regarding like the whole like horror sort of inspirations of this thing, the look of these three monsters reminds me heavily of like the Cenobites from Hellraiser, and I'm pretty sure I would not be surprised if that was an inspiration for the three like mutilated bodies, because it's very much like twisting the human form, like ripping strips of flesh off of it. Like that's basically like Pinhead's like chest has like strips of flesh pinned away from it from the muscle tissue and stuff. So yeah, and that's most of my actual thoughts that I've got. So Mikey. How's it going over there, buddy?
Okay.
You following along? Are we describing things well enough?
Yeah, for the most part, although there's still a lot of things that go whoosh.
Yeah,
I figured.
So what did you glean as somebody with fresh eyes and not like really much experience with Warframe? What did you get from this with your actual thoughts?
All right. So, well, since we were told this was sort of a gamifying this, I basically boiled down the premise into two things. One is body snatching.
Yeah.
And the other is essentially doing something that seems like a good idea, but ends up not being a good idea at all.
Time for another good idea, bad idea.
Good idea. Putting on costumes and masks for Naberus. Bad idea. Taking people from the streets and morphing them into horrible mutilated bodies, and then transferring your mind temporarily. It just goes on like the whole elaborate.
Yeah,
story.
It just reads the entire story.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The end.
Yeah. And I mean, body snatching is sort of a staple of horror.
Oh yeah.
The one that comes to mind, I watched it when I was a child. Was Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yep.
There was an episode. I think it was with chameleons. And
yeah. It wasn't. It was identity theft, effectively, like supernatural identity theft.
Yeah. Well, and basically, there's this poem: "Bite you once, bite you twice. A little water, pay the price." So basically, what happens is the chameleon bites you once, then bites you a second time, and then because it's bitten you a second time, it sort of shows up as your doppelganger.
Yeah.
And then it splashes water on you, and then you end up becoming a chameleon, and it basically takes over your life.
Yeah. I remember that. That was actually the Are You Afraid of the Dark? That that popped up in Dark Knight 3, I want to say. Like because that's where I remember watching it, was like on the Halloween special on YTV. Wow, I just had like a flash of that of that Dark Knight like showing. Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's basically classic body horror.
Yeah.
It's something that when you think about it, you go, oh, because something bad happens.
Yeah, it's sort of like and I think in most cases like the audience knows that this has happened, but the people around the people in the circumstances don't know. So it's like, no, it's like sort of like a doomed dread. Like, no, that person's stuck in a chameleon as a chameleon, and the chameleon's now her doppelganger taking over her life. But no one else knows about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I get it's also kind of like reminiscent of like the Kuva thing too, because it's like like they transfer temporarily, but then in order to seal it, they need to use the red Kuva in order to like make it permanent and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, like maybe they found a way, so they're like trying to they're trying to catch another Ostron or something like that, or a specific type of Ostron or human, to revert to switch to a new body because they're tired of being the horrible like shambling bodies that they have. No, I can dig that. That would definitely work as either a game kind of idea or even like a creepypasta in itself.
Maybe they have to like hunt down members of their own family, like generations later, because it has to be of the same blood.
Yeah.
So then this family has this weird fucked up curse that's like following them around specifically.
Yeah. So it's not even like
witnesses, of course.
So it's still during the Orokin days, like, and it's like a couple of Orokin trying to outrun these like horrible monsters.
I mean, it could be even now, like the descendants of descendants of descendants of the Orokin. Because I don't know, were they all wiped out?
I don't know. Did they mingle with the Ostron, or are they like? Did they? I guess some of their genetics are in the Ostron and the other humans of the world.
There's been a couple of drops saying that like the Corpus are descendants of the Orokin.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's entirely possible that they are.
Yeah, and that would, yeah, have some Corpus like trying to. Yeah, that would actually be really like entertaining to me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I can dig that. Like, yeah, have like sort of they stumble upon maybe like a Corpus group, like a Corpus ship comes across an Orokin derelict somewhere like near a void rift or something, and that's where like the creatures are, and like one of them sneaks aboard, and because it senses maybe it's the one that sniffs around and stuff like that, Scuttlebuttle, and it can smell its bloodline maybe. So it's like trying to find that. So the other two are using Scuttlebuttle to sniff it out, and then like they'll like snatch that one away, and like the other like the Corpus's like friends need to try and stop it, or like they're trying to figure out what's going on. Like it's all happening on their ship, or it's like happening while the ship is docked to the Orokin derelict. Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then what was the other idea you had? Was the
Well, the other thing is more of a staple of gaming, where it's doing something that seems like a good idea but ends up not being a good idea at all.
Yeah.
So the example that I came up with is D&D example. So basically, a group of players goes to a town. That town has a sacrifice that they do every so often. And the adventurers thinking, oh, well, you don't need to sacrifice these people. They interrupt it in some way.
And suddenly it becomes
yeah,
yeah. Sorry.
yeah, they save the girl or whatever, and then like unbeknownst to them, they leave, and then the village ends up having a plague, or a dragon comes and burns it to the cinders or something because the sacrifice didn't go through.
Yeah. Or like the ancient evil that it was quelling has now rises from the lake.
Yeah,
sort of situation. It basically becomes like any like a folk horror scenario, because like folk horrors are always like that, like the Wicker Man or the Ritual is one. What's the Midsummer? Like Midsummer, where it's like the group of outsiders comes into this little village and stops the the folk festival because they see that they're about to sacrifice somebody. They put a stop to that, or they try to, and then either the whole village kind of turns on them and makes them the sacrifices, or the sacrifice is broken and the ritual is incomplete and the monster comes out. What would be also really interesting is if, like, you're a group of adventurers or even investigators in a Call of Cthulhu game, and you happen upon a village that, like, weeks before that your characters arrived, another group of adventurers or investigators showed up and fucked up everything, and so now you're basically just stumbling into the aftermath. So and you guys had heard that this village was very, like, polite and very nice and super friendly, and now that because they've had to deal with all this bullshit in the last, like, week or so, they're now like the exact opposite. Like, they're ravenous, they're angry with any outsiders and what have you, and it's like complete turnaround. And then you find out because some assholes fucked with their rituals a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it could be interesting.
Yeah.
Just have a campaign based upon following the goody two shoe adventurers that think they're doing good, and then
oh my god, I want damn you, Mikey, I want that game. I want to run that now. Just like you're the ne'er-do-wells trying to go after the do-gooders.
Yeah.
You're the do-not-gooders. Oh man. Okay, yeah, no, I like that idea. Just like, yeah, the entire campaign where just like every adventure is you just cleaning up you're the cleaners of the of these assholes that are like just a couple of weeks ahead of you.
Yep.
Oh man. That'd be pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting, actually.
Yeah.
It might get infuriating, though, doing a long campaign of that, because the players would be like, why the fuck can't we catch them?
Well, like at a certain point, when they get to that point, we're just like, all right, so what do you want to do? And it's like, all right, you know what? No, we're not going to this village, or we're not going to this next village to clean up. Like, are you sure? Like, it looks pretty bad over there. Like, there's red smoke coming out of those ruins. Like, no, we're going to beeline past that. We're going to track down these assholes, and then the game just becomes like you guys are the stalkers hunting down these assholes.
Yeah.
At the next, like, trying to catch them at the pass. It could either be like a long form campaign of you just trying to clean up somebody's mess every week, or it would be a mini campaign where you get like one or two sessions, or like one or two adventures of you having to clean up these guys' mess, and then it just becomes a sort of a heist game, or like an assassination game where you're just trying to, like, hunt down these assholes, like, where they are, like getting information and, like, tracking them down, and then just, like, offing them.
Yeah.
To stop them.
Yeah.
Take some notes for one less die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those were my two takeaways from this.
All right, fair enough. I guess that means Gamer, you're up for your actual thoughts.
Okay. Scroll back up here.
Let's scroll up these 7 pages.
Mm-hmm. I gotta load up my second file because the first file was too big.
Oh God.
I had to save it on a different hard drive. No. So, like, right from the get-go of the story, it says, "Would you like to hear a story for Naberus? One that I told my grandchildren when they were small." That in itself implies that there are many stories that are told on Naberus. This is just one of them.
Yep.
This isn't the story of Naberus at all. Because they were already celebrating Naberus.
Yeah, Naberus is the festival that this happens. Yeah, it's like Halloween. Like this is not the like a ghost story that happens on Halloween is not the story of Halloween.
No.
It is one tale on Naberus.
Yeah, I kind of wish grandmother would tell us a new story every year.
That would be so fucking good.
Yeah.
Damn it! Like it's not. It wouldn't be that hard. I don't think.
Just
Also,
write a story, get the one voice actress to read it, use the same animations
God.
and everything, just have different things dangling for visual cues.
Also, tied this into like creepypasta stuff, they could even do like a contest, like a fan based contest of like Naberus, tell us your tales of Naberus and stuff like that, and like the winners.
The winner fan submission actually becomes canon.
Exactly, yeah. Like they do that in with some of the art and stuff too. So like.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, yeah, because like that is something that's getting to point out. This story's the folktale of Naberus, but it's not actually. It's just a tale from Naberus or of Naberus. Not.
It's like the movie Halloween is a slasher event that happened during Halloween, but it's not the story of Halloween.
Yeah, that's true.
As these monsters, I guess forever.
Like that could be like
totally.
why. Honestly, like that could be a name for them, like the Knights of Naberus, or Naberus could be like some other story, like again about the Knights with the K of Naberus. Yeah, hence like there's just a bunch of like
back in the day.
Yeah, like a bunch of Orikin or like some new frame. Maybe so on Deimos. There's the Warframe you can get what you can collect while you're on Deimos is Zaku. Which I'm going to point out also is also very monster and horror themed because it is literally a Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah,
like it is created from the parts of 3 unknown Warframes. So those 3 Warframes might be the Knights of Deimos or the Knights of Naberus. And Zaku is like the culmination, like the sum of all their parts, kind of thing. Like, so yeah, that could be like maybe like that could be a story in itself. Like
not
somebody
that I'm drawing lines here, but the 3 Ostron kids that were taken was 2 boys and a girl, and the actually no, now that I'm remembering correctly,
shit,
the three concepts for Zaku, I think it's actually 2 females and 1 male. I thought it was 2 males. I might be wrong.
We could quickly look that up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's 2 females and a male.
Okay. Yeah, it does say like and that is almost like a missed opportunity though.
Mm-hmm.
Because like they came out like Zaku came out or like they could have like had like 2 female Ostron and 1 male Ostron for the Naberus monster for like the bodies. And that would have tied in with the Zaku stuff so well. Fuck.
Also, the Ostron aren't Warframes, so
true. Yeah, that is also true. But again, like maybe
technically
they are kind of.
They kind of are, yeah.
Again, going into like the deep cut lore of Warframes and how
like the sacrifice and everything.
Yeah, with yeah.
We're just speaking like another language this episode, aren't we?
Yeah, we might as well have been talking about Shadowrun. Sorry, Mikey.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Yeah, like I said, like the Knights of Naberus could be Zaku, like the three frames that were used to make Zaku, So, yeah. Sorry, continue.
Or just have that be a different story on Naberus.
Yeah. The grave robbing of the original Zaku.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Sorry.
So I shall continue.
Yes.
So then I got to the line of, they were above petty death, such was their contempt. They decreed a special day of which to make fun of it. I really like the twist on like the Halloween event itself. Not Halloween for the reasons of like warding off evil spirits and stuff. It's or like to keep anything scary away or whatever. It's just about to flaunt their superiority over the lesser people around them.
Yeah, it's a time. It's basically like an arrogant. It was born of arrogance.
Yeah, it's almost like an April Fool's Day for them.
Yeah, it's like April. Oh god, that's actually pretty cool. April Fools meets Halloween, because like also during Halloween, like yeah, it's a time of wording from evil spirits. Like that's how Samhain was started and stuff like that. Which is what Halloween became, or Halloween came from. But like nowadays, like again, like one of the big things in modern Halloween like festivities is creating pranks, like trick or treat. Like it's the trick of treat. So like where you egg somebody's house or you toilet paper somebody's house or something like that. Or in this case, you take 3 Ostron and just meld them, rip them apart, and reforge them, and then go into and slip into their into their bodies like costumes.
It seems legit.
Yeah, this is definitely a tale of hubris, because like the Orkin are just like they get theirs at the end of the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. But moving on.
Mm-hmm.
I get to this quote. Up, my Kissingtons, my luscious loves, send for blue kuva and hot lights. So I don't fully understand that sentence, to be honest.
So,
like, what's the Kissingtons meaning?
That's basically like, so it's an affectionate term for the other. Like, so this is obviously one of the Orkin talking, and basically telling like it's like Mike telling his or telling their 2 other friends, like basically like an affectionate nickname for their friends. Like it's sort of a decadent kind of expression.
Okay.
That's how I took it, as like sort of like an affectionate expression to their comrades in pranking.
Yeah, but it's not like a word we as humans use.
Because they're creepy, decadent, like high. Like,
I understand that. I'm just saying it's not an English word or nothing.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's some Orkin term that we're not aware of.
Hmm.
But yeah, based on that, you can assume what it sort of means.
Yeah, and it also like ties a little bit to grandmother's speech too, because grandmother's like, "Let's have a chin wag," like it's sort of that kind of like fancy, like flowery sort of like terminology, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like the hot light, I brought this up before. The hot lights, I don't really know what that means. There was no mention of that really in the story.
Yeah, it could be like there's some kind of hot lights. Could also be like they like bring the hot lights so we can like look at these bodies that we're about to surgically like change. So like bring us like the light above us so that we can like see properly when we're like doing all these horrific things to
just
these
like
bodies.
Entirely mundane. Like we just need a bright light so we can do surgery here.
Exactly. Yeah, it's basically the surgery lights, or like the kind of light how like the dentist light, like a light on an aperture like closer to your mouth so that they can see better.
Yeah.
Like that's what I think that might also be like, that's the more mundane aspect of what that is. It's like, bring us the kuva and the hot lights so we can see when we rip these people apart.
Yeah, that makes sense actually. I'm fine with that. And the next one, let us now try them on and visit our friends. What shrieking there will be. Oh, our names will live forever in the court. Such a prank as this. So, I kind of wonder how normal this sort of thing would be in the Orkin Empire. Like, these were mostly sane Orkin kids, I believe, honestly. Or, like, are they really 3 messed up kids? Because, like, based on how others react, I think they're pretty fucking normal.
I think honestly,
there's a quote of one of them responding saying, "As you can imagine, there were many screams and laughs. Such cleverness, such wit."
Yeah, everything
like responses.
Yeah, everything I've heard, everything I've read upon the Orkin, there is definitely this fucked up like decadence culture that is like, no, like they don't see. I have a feeling the majority of the Orkin culture, like these tall, blue, like long armed like beings, I don't think they see the world exactly like regular humans now see it. Like I don't think they don't have as much empathy for like life when you are godlike like immortals. So
Yeah.
I think they've like as a culture they've lost a bit of their humanity and their empathy. Because like this is like they see the Ostron as just a servitor species that they can like toy with and manipulate.
Mhm.
So again, like glassing someone like just for like looking at a flask of Crimson Kuva, like seems a little harsh.
Yeah. That shit's super secret.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think it's probably like it might be that they are just more fucked up than most Orcan, but I think it might be like kind of like no, this was probably accepted or acceptable like acceptable behavior in Orcan society because it's like they probably saw humans like the regular humans as just like dogs or like pets
Mm-hmm.
or just playthings kind of thing. Because, again, yeah. Sorry, you can continue.
I mean, the last one that kind of it's been basically spoken of. It was in regards to their names. It was like for a little bit of the story, I was like, they don't really have names, and then I realized that it's like, yeah, I guess their names are the sounds, 100%.
Especially when Granny confirms it at the end.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. The only other two things I have are kitchen-related things. One in regards to the story, and one in regards to like the video game itself. So one way that I'd like to see this expanded upon is like the events that followed the three of them and their lives in their new bodies, and like what the fuck have they been doing? Like, I'm assuming they're like it says they're stuck in them forever, but are they unkillable? Like, do they not die of old age?
Yeah,
they go nuts and start killing and lashing out at everyone because of this punishment that they've put themselves in.
Yeah, for sure.
Knowing the Orcan, they'd probably banish them because they're all gross and unclean, but they might tolerate them during Naberus or whatever.
I again see what I said earlier, where like they're stuck. They just were banished to a some kind of vessel or like a station in the void, and a rift opens up around Naberus that allows them to like kind of get like escape through.
Yeah.
Honestly, that would be a really cool expansion of Naberus, like in the years to come. Is have a quest on Naberus, like that they install. They have like a seasonal like quest that pops up or a seasonal mission where they're popping up like these three monsters are popping up across the different landscape locations. Like they're on they're on Vorbalis. Is it Vorbalis in
Orbalis?
Orbalis in
a little dyslexic there.
A little bit. Orbalis on Venus, or the plains of Eidolon on Earth, or again Deimos and what have you. Like have like maybe they're popping up and like and make it really creepy. Like they're like you're doing missions suddenly like you hear like a whispering sound or like
directly into my second note on.
All right, sorry, I will shut up. I will continue.
Yeah, but that's basically just as the story itself. It could be written further, having extra tales of what happened when they returned in like previous Naberus's that happened after that. And whether or not things went downhill or whatever. And then video game wise, when the story dropped like last year is when it first came out, I was really hoping to see them as a seasonal enemy spawn. Like you're playing the game literally anywhere. Like it doesn't even have to be an open plane. It could be a normal mission. And then 1, 2, or even all three of them spawn, depending on how many people you have in your squad. And they're like strong as hell. They have these weird unique attacks. They're unkillable. But when they show up, all you have to do is survive for 1 minute, at which point they grow tired of you and vanish.
Yeah, and they just vanish back into a void rift. It's like this. It's like a much more frequent and like festive version of the Stalker.
And actually, like challenging and worrisome,
and actually cool.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck you, Stalker fans!
Oh, it's a Stalker bitch. He dies so fast.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think they need to do more of that because, I mean, bleeding into Chains of Hero here, but there is an unkillable enemy in the Chains of Hero quest, and it's awesome. And I wish it was something that they would expand upon in the actual game, and this sort of thing is something that they could do it in.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think that would definitely Digital Extremes, if you're listening. First off, hi. what was that?
Like, yeah, as if they're listening. Also, hi, if you are.
Yeah. Literally expand expand Naberus even more. Like, give us more Naberus stories, and give us this mission. Okay, goddamn.
Mm-hmm.
I might also actually I'll forward this episode. I'll on Twitter. I'll post this episode and then reply back.
Hashtag it to DE.
Hashtag it to DE and the Warframe Twitter feed. See if Rebecca listens to it. Maybe even.
She'll see. Hi, Space Mom.
Hi.
Or not.
Yeah. Exactly. Anyway. So, is there anything else then?
No, that's about it.
Okay. Yeah. Honestly, I think we touched on a lot. Because there's just so much about Knights of Naberus and Deimos and stuff like that. It's just thank you.
A lot to talk about. Yeah.
Thank you, Digital Extremes, for giving me the spookiest and happy Halloweenish setting in this game. I love it. So, yeah, I guess this is the final thoughts. I love it. Play Warframe. Should play Warframe specifically for Deimos.
Yeah, only install it on Halloween.
Yeah.
That's the way you're seeing it.
Yeah. It's just so fucking good. I'm probably gonna at some point by the time this gets posted, I will have probably hopped on with you, Gamer, and a couple of our friends, and gotten enough mother tokens to acquire all of the stuff that you can get for Naberus.
Oh yeah.
I kind of want that to be my goal. So
do it.
But yeah, that's my actual thoughts. Honestly, is this was a really cool thing that they did for a Halloween event sort of situation. Adding folklore into Warframe has always been amazing. It's not just they've done Naberus, the Knights of Naberus, with this thing. They've done I mentioned Ureli earlier. They did a fucking comic that some of the vent kids on Venus they created a comic for it. They've done they've put in folk songs the We All Live Together is a chain gang song. There's
Sleeping in the Cold Below.
Yeah, Sleeping in the Cold Below is a fucking space shanty. And the first one was, I guess it was, it was just the two, wasn't it? There wasn't
Those are the two lyrical ones, yeah.
Yeah, the two lyrical ones, yeah. They need to do more of that, for the game. More world building like that is amazing. And more creepy stuff too, because Warframe is a fucking nightmare.
It really is.
In the best possible way. You've got body horror, you've got cosmic horror, you've got psychological horror, you've got it's all the types of horror in this game in some variety.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, so that's my actual thoughts. So, Mikey, how you doing over there, buddy?
I'm doing all right.
Seems very unfazed. So I guess we're doing our job.
I hope so.
Again, there's a lot of whooshing going on here. It's like I'm in a wind tunnel.
That is fair. That is very fair. We're
trying to explain things. It's just it's in a world that's been that's been in there. It's been a game for 8 or 9 years now. So it's 8 or 9 years of content that not all of it is related to Naberus, but a lot of it is. And, we trying to keep it light on only bringing up the shit that we have to, but whatever.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things to talk about.
Yes. So from the outsider point of view, what is your final thoughts on Naberus and the town?
Well, my final thoughts on the tale was that it was a very good horror tale.
Yeah.
Even if I know next to nothing about Warframe, the whole body swap scenario and the basically it's kids, the kid mentality of like, oh yeah, let's one up these guys.
Yeah.
So
They do. They definitely come off as like the kids of like my dad owns a dealership. Like we are the elite of the elites. Like, do you know who my Orkin dad? Do you know who my space dad is?
yeah, and like I said, basically boils down to someone doing something that they think is a good idea, and it ends up being a very bad idea. Uh,
Yeah, it's
and
definitely a tale of hubris.
yeah, so overall, the story was enjoyable.
Yay.
I'm glad they explained it enough with the story itself that an outsider could fully understand it and enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
All right. End gamer.
I don't know, I hated this, man. It's just the worst.
No, it's fair. It's a fair
Yeah.
fair cut. Like, I respect your opinion. I may not disagree. I may not agree with it, but yeah. I may not agree with it, and you may be wrong, but I accept it.
But no, like I freaking love Naberus. It's awesome.
Mhm.
And like, yes, I am a diehard Warframe fan. I've been playing Warframe more than all of my friends, probably combined. I've been playing since way back in like when only PC was a thing. I'm not a founder, but either way, but it doesn't mean it gets an auto yes from me because I don't recall caring too highly for that first Stalker creepypasta that we did.
No. But then again, that
It
was
was
also
just
kind of
kinda,
like
eh.
it was sort of like a by the numbers, like, oh no, I'm being stalked by the stalker for real.
No, it wasn't.
Was it not? Okay, sorry. Yeah,
It's all in the game. It's just the stalker's here, and he's
right.
the only guy in the whole level, and then he killed my Warframe. And
Yeah, it's like I kind of, it would have been better if even if we'd gotten a fucking creepypasta out there somewhere where like the stalker comes into real life and starts stalking the player.
Yeah.
Or like
But
somebody plays the chain of Harrow mission, and then like they start hearing, like as they're walking like through like their school or like down their office building, their office hallway, they just hear like the lights all kind of start flickering, and then they just hear rap tap tap.
yeah,
Yeah,
just gets in your head.
yeah, like yeah. It was, again, you've never liked the Vigipastas where it's all in game. Like there's no.
Yeah, there has to be some sort of repercussion, you know.
Yeah.
If you could just like turn the screen off and turn the horror off, there's no real horror there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same as me just playing Resident Evil.
Yeah.
Like, okay, there's scary stuff in Resident Evil. I could just turn the screen off though and carry about my day.
Alternatively, a good thing for that would be, so it all happens in game, but the real horror is that it completely corrupts all of their progress, and they have to restart completely from the beginning.
No, that's the worst.
Especially for you, like all those hours, those hundreds of hours you've played Warframe. God,
0 on that.
Yeah, all those thousands of hours of playing Warframe. God,
all gone. Rip.
Ugh.
But no, the story has getting back to the story. The story has a very like creepily fun aura about it, partially because of the delivery that grandmother gives, I guess. But and the whole retelling of grandmother saying it all is awesome, to have it all voiced and everything, because they could have just done it simply just by like pasting text in, but they full in had it voiced and everything, and it added a lot to it, I think.
Yeah.
Because like, I don't think it would have the same sort of reaction if it was just text, honestly.
No, if it had been something that you got this lore card, you can go to their website and check out the lore of the game.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, no, if it, like, the fact that they put that extra effort to actually have somebody read this story in the game, that it makes it.
Yeah, and they added like little sound bits every once in a while on key scenes just to add a little bit more punch.
Yeah.
And they had the visuals of the monsters there. It's creepy cutouts in the video to give, so you have something to visualize these creatures as.
Mm-hmm.
The third one wasn't in the video, though, I noticed. It was just the two. The one that had like the skin flayed down the front.
Huh.
Didn't
It
it
was
pop
just-
up at the bottom? There's
I
one
didn't
on
know.
either side, and then there's one that popped up at the bottom.
Oh, okay. If it is there, great. I didn't notice it. But also, speaking of, I love that they gave us a real life cutout, like blueprint thing that you can make your own Naberus like mobile at home with the three monsters.
Yeah, for sure. I kind of want to do it at some point.
Yeah, and
sorry.
it's good enough to work just with like standard, normal, real boring ass Halloween, because it's still a weird, fucked up creature that you can just hang in a window or whatever. And
Yeah.
to those that know, great. To those that don't, it's a Halloween decoration, whatever.
Exactly. It fits enough like with Halloween that it could just be another spooky thing that somebody's done for Halloween, but it's also like people that know Warframe get it. And
Yeah.
like I saw like an image of it like where like somebody it's like a hand, like an orcan hand, like with the strings like where the mobile goes and stuff like that. And I was like,
Yep.
I kind of want to go to like Spirit of Halloween, find like a severed arm, like a severed arm prop, paint it blue, like maybe give it some black fingernails, like extended fingernails, and like maybe like make it part, like basically make a wall mantle, like a wall, like a wall mount sort of thing. And like maybe even get 3D print each of the different like parts for the mobile, so that's not just paper, like it's actually something that will last. God, that would be so fucking cool. Like just have that, and I just have that on my wall, like just forever.
Pretty sure last year I saw someone painted their actual hand blue and like and like put a cutout in a wall, like a dummy wall, and had their hand sticking out holding the with the Naberus mobile stuff like hanging underneath their hand, and took a picture of that, and it looked like really awesome. I'll have to find that. Yeah.
That might be the one I saw online. Like I Google imaged like Naberus and saw that. So
yeah, that might be the one. But all in all, a full recommendation for me. I do wish they would tell a different Naberus story every year. Not that I hate this one.
No.
Variety would be nice, and it just adds to the lore. And they can, like, in doing that, they can elaborate and expand on stuff that we still don't really know about the Orcan. Like, put little bits here and there to answer some questions and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
And
it would definitely
added the actual monsters as actual creatures that showed up during October. That would be even better.
That would be so good. Mm-hmm. It would definitely like my activity on the game from my casual playing of Warframe would definitely spike again.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, I think all in all, then we all enjoyed Naberus, or the Tale of Naberus, or A Tale of Naberus, as it is more accurate.
It's currently the tale. It's the only one, but it's not the origin tale of. But yes.
Yeah. Digital Extreme, seriously, like consider that that fan fiction, or like that fan made fiction, like folktale contest idea. Like, if you're listening, Steve, where's my art book?
Yeah, really. Every year we go to TennoCon. Every year we ask, and
and Steve just like, oh yeah, it's coming. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, that has been this week's episode. If you like what you heard, or if you didn't, if you're as lost as Mikey is with Warframe, and want to vent, I mean, I'm sorry. You can leave us an email or a comment in the comment section below where this gets posted.
It's also fine. Install Warframe, play it for about like 70 hours, and then listen to this episode again. You will understand everything.
Yeah, clearly. Yeah, leave us a comment in the comment section below if you feel so inclined. We do check them out, and we always love hearing back. If you'd like to send us emails, you can go to eldenterigamortis@gmail.com and send us one there. Send us if you know of any Warframe creepypastas, even if this is past TennoVember, like send us your emails. Send us your links. Send us stories for creepypastas in general, SCPs, cryptids, all those kind of things. That'd be cool. If you'd like to talk to us on Twitter, we're all on Twitter there. Mikey is at the E stands for evil. The Gamer in Yellow. Yeah, the Gamer in Yellow is at the Gamer in Yellow, but without that W at the end because his name's very long. And I'm at Review Cultist. You can also send us... No, I already said that. If you'd like to help support the show financially, you can go to Patreon, look up Al Dente Rigor Mortis, and select a backer tier you'd like to support us at. We have $2 and $5 tier with special episodes, early access, extra content. For our patrons that are helping support the show, thank you guys immensely. You're helping keep those hosting bills at bay. And as always, we very much appreciate that. Seriously, thank you guys. And for our listeners and the authors of these stories, well, for our listeners and Digital Extremes, thank you immensely, because without your listenership, it'd be like speaking into the void. Rap, tap, tap.
Ooh, look at you.
And without Digital Extremes, we wouldn't have Warframe.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't have Naberus.
What would life be like without Warframe?
Well, we wouldn't have Naberus. We wouldn't have Deimos. We wouldn't have all the creepy nightmare fuel that they throw into this weird transhumanist sci-fi fantasy epic series that they've made. So thank you. Till next time, I have been your host, Review Cultist.
The E stands for evil.
And I'm the Gamer in Yellow.
And this has been Al Dente Rigor Mortis. Happy Naberus. Sleep well.